Hey, people. I'm tired of ranting at you people, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say this much. I'm not gonna tell you how bad the Republicans and Trump is for this nation. I'm not gonna tell you how good the Democrats have already been for this nation. You're refusing to look any of that up and look up the facts. So I'm going to ask you to look up just one thing. One thing. It's called Project 2025. It is a blueprint manifesto that the Republicans and Trump have put out for what they plan to do for the nation or to the nation. What policies, how they plan to change things, how they plan things to run. And once you look that up and you read it, don't just think 2025, oh yeah, it's got to be good because the Republicans put it out there. No. Read it. Then you ask yourself, is that what you want for this nation? Is that what you want for your children and your grandchildren? Is that the kind of government you want them living under? Because this next November, when you vote, you're voting to put that kind of government in place. The more Republicans you put in place, the more apt they are to be able to succeed in putting that in place. And if you have Trump in office, every bill that will be wrote and passed will be passed by Trump to further that agenda. We don't need to rant at you about what Trump did in the past. We all know what he did, and some of you choose to be blind to it. It's your choice. Some of you choose to believe the lies and the rhetoric. Your choice. So now why don't you look at what they've actually said themselves, since that's all the more you will believe. It was wrote by them. It'll tell you who wrote it. It gives you a long diatribe of all the people who wrote it and all the people who back it. And then it'll go into everything they plan to do as far as the government goes, as far as laws go, as far as rights go, as far as communities go. They've got it wrote out in a complete plan. And it's their plan. It's not the Democrats' plan. It's not the Independents' plan. And then ask yourself, is that truly what you want? Now, I know some of you are out there and you're saying, oh, I would never vote Democrat because of what they were, blah, 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 back in the blah, 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 100 years ago. Stop. Blah, 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 back in 100 years ago, when the Democratic Party used to be like the Republican Party is today. And they ended up forcing themselves to change because they were almost voted into obscurity. So the Republicans, or the Democrats who didn't like the change, moved over to the Republican Party. Just like today, the Republicans that don't like the change are moving to either independent or Democratic. Back then, there was no independent. There was Republican, there was Democratic. So any of the Democrats back then who did not like the change moved to the Republican Party. So today, the Republican Party is what the Democrat Party used to be. And those in the Democrat Party who are in the Republican Party who liked the way the Democrat Party was moving because they almost died out, moved to the Democratic Party. So both parties just basically switched. Today's Democrat Party is what the Republican Party used to be, even back in the 60s, the 40s, the 30s, 1900s. That's what the Republican Party used to be. That is what the Democrat Party is today. The Republican Party of today is what the Democrat Party used to be. You can't vote for a candidate simply because of what party they are in. You have to do your research, because parties change. Their political leaning, their political, what they want to do politically changes. The Republican Party used to be the party for change, the party to bring out equality, the party who fought to stop slavery. They're not anymore. In fact, some of them have already said that they'd want to go back to the time of slavery. The Republican Party used to be the party that didn't, they would figure both parties were like separate. They wanted people separate. But the Republican Party was like, we don't want slavery. We don't mind if we do some segregation, but it's got to be equal on both sides. Okay? The Democrat Party back then said, we want slavery. And if there is no slavery, we don't want them niggers to be, and I'm putting it plain, we don't want those black people to be equal to us in any way, shape, or form. They are our lessers. And that's what they said. And in time, they almost died out because of their extreme political views and societal views. And they had to change, or they would have died out. So they started changing and swaying more to what the Republican Party back then used to be. And the Democrats who didn't like it, and they started swaying, further than what the Republican Party used to be. And the Democrats who did not like that switched over to the Republican Party. And the Republican Party started to change. because of who was joining that party at that time. And the Republicans, who were more on the side of wanting equal, even if they wanted separate but equal, they started drifting towards the Democrat Party. So you've got a switch of parties. The Republican Party of today is not the Republican Party of Lincoln's time. The Democratic Party of today is not the same Democratic Party of Lincoln's time. Today, Lincoln would more associate with the Democratic Party than he would with the Republican Party. Because the Democrat Party lines up more with what he envisioned than what today's Republican Party is. So the only thing I'm asking you, one simple thing, one little thing, and if you can't do it, then maybe you don't care about the facts. Maybe you don't care about the truth. Maybe you don't care about where our country is going. You don't care. The only thing you care about is what party you vote for and the lies you get told. So the only thing I ask you to do is please look up Project 2025. I've read a good sum of it, and I had to stop reading it because it turned my stomach. Look it up and read it. Read it carefully and see what these Republican politicians are planning for our nation. Because they put it out there for plain sight. For you to see clearly. So look it up. And if you don't want to do that, if you can't be bothered to do that, and all you want to hear is the lies that they speak, then you really don't care about this nation. You really don't care where it's headed. You really don't care how it's going to affect your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren. You really don't care if you can vote or not. And if you really don't care if you can vote or not, then don't vote. Simple as that. Why wait for somebody to take your right to vote away? Why not just don't vote?